Hello, good evening, and welcome to this Thursday live training. My name is Paul Bailey, just in case you weren't aware, and today's topic is going to be on how to make healthier food, but food generally, how to make healthier food taste great. And I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about herbs and spices and how to flavor food and why flavor is so important. It's a great start. Already got a tickle in my throat. As usual, please let me know if you can hear me. Post a message in the comments box and let me know if this is working. That'd be fantastic. And I'll have a little sip whilst all those people tell me this is working. That's better. Right. Cool. So let's have a look and see if we've got somebody who's saying hello to me, because that would be lovely. Then at least I know things are going to be working okay, and you can hear and see me. Let's have a look and see what's coming up on the screen here. Here we go. So I know I've got a couple of people watching at the moment. If you can just post in the comments that you can see and hear me, that will be amazing. And then I can kick off with the presentation. How are you guys doing? It's been a while. Not that long, but I've been working quite hard on the workshop that I did recently, which if you haven't seen it, you can still catch the replay. If you want to get the link from that, then just let me know. So yeah, just let me know. Can you hear me? Oh, hi, Claude. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me know that I am not talking to myself. So I'm going to load up the slides. Thank you, Claude. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to load up the slides. Where are we? Here we go. Show in stream. Make me tiny. Well, big and tiny. It's two of me. Two for the price of one. So just for the quick introduction, for those of you who have joined the group recently, my name is Paul Bailey and I'm a qualified nutrition coach. I take a much more holistic approach to health, focusing obviously on nutrition, but also on fitness and even more importantly, mindset. This includes stress management, confidence building, and of course, self-care, which a lot of us don't take seriously enough. And I have helped hundreds of guys like you learn to love food again without guilt or shame and still be able to lose weight, get rid of that belly, and feel fitter and healthier. So generally, my clients are the type of people, and they say this to me all the time, it does make me laugh. I know what I should do, but I just don't. They just struggle to put it into practice, but they are willing to admit that they do need a little bit of help. And they have an understanding that it didn't take them 12 weeks to get where they are today. So it's going to take a long time to get them where they want to be. So they're in this for the long run. They want a lifestyle change and not a diet. They understand that there is more to being healthy than just a number on the scales, and that is important. They've realized that it's time to focus on themselves because self-care isn't selfish. Hi, Stan. Thanks for joining. So most of my clients are gay men over 40, obviously. That's why I run a group like this, simply because that's what I am. But I do help other people outside of this area too. But they do all have the same thing in common, as I've just mentioned there. So my promise to you, I will give you all the support and next steps that you need to make your journey here a success. Now, if you need more options of what to do next, then I'll talk about how to get extra help from me later on in today's presentation. But this is not a sales pitch. This is just a space and time for me to give you as much valuable content as possible. So I did post earlier on a question in the group because I want to talk about taste first of all before we move on to the herbs and spices and stuff. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for joining. No problem. So how many different things can you taste? How many different things how many flavors can you differentiate? I'd love to know what people think about this. Because when I was at school, I was told there were 4 different senses on the tongue. And I want to know, what do you think? Now, I did post a question earlier on, so let me see if anybody has had a chance to answer that, because it does. The trouble with this system is when I'm talking, it takes about 30 to 60 seconds for you to see it. So sometimes I'll ask a question and nothing happens for ages because you guys haven't heard me yet. Right, here we go. So, Dave Pilkington, we can taste 5 on our tongue: salt, sugar, sour, hot, and umami. All flavors are made up in the brain and stored. Thank you, David. I really appreciate that. Anybody else got any ideas? How many flavors can you actually taste? So I'm going to move on because, again, it just takes a while for it to come through on the system. So do continue to post comments in the comments box. And if you have any questions, also post them in the comments box as well, because even if I don't catch them whilst I'm doing the presentation, I always go back through the comments afterwards and I answer every single question. And I'll be in touch with you if it's something that you want me to speak to you about privately with. So how many different things can you taste? So apparently 7. There are 7 different flavors that your tongue can actually taste: salt, sugar or sweet, sour, bitter, umami, hot, and cold. So we've got 7 different things that your tongue can differentiate. So I'm going to sort of clarify a couple of points here. We obviously know what salt tastes like. We obviously all know what sugar tastes like. Sour, that's going to be acids like lemon juice, lime juice, vinegars, those sorts of things. Bitter, a lot of green leafy vegetables can be bitter tasting. The more green they are, the more bitter they tend to taste. And then, of course, my favorite bitter is chocolate. Sent from a gift from the gods. So yeah, chocolate is also in the bitter range as well. Umami, which a lot of people may not have heard of, but umami is a sort of a meatiness, a meaty flavor. And you can also get that flavor from things like soy sauce or miso paste, cheese, seaweed, those sorts of things. They all have that kind of, some people call it an earthy flavor, an earthy taste. But otherwise, yeah, meaty flavors can be described as umami. And then hot, not as in the temperature of the food, but like chili, not heat. So a spicy hotness. And then cold, again, not as in a temperature, but like mint or menthol. So that kind of fresh, breezy taste that you can get with certain foods and flavors. So again, not icy as in cold, which interestingly does actually dull your taste buds. It kind of freezes them just a little bit, which is why ice cream has so much sugar in it and so much flavoring in it, because it freezes your taste buds. So it needs double the amount or more to be able to actually taste what's in ice cream. And obviously, as it melts, then your taste buds kind of warm up a little bit and you get an even bigger hit from it, which is why it tastes so good. So our tongue can taste 7 different things. But think about it. If we can taste only 7 different things, then how can we tell the difference between hundreds, if not thousands, of different foods? How can we tell the difference between onions and bread, coffee, or something, something else like that? What are all these things that are coming into play that supplement the 7 things that we can taste? I mean, one of the really obvious one is smell. How things smell makes a huge difference. Um, if you can't smell, and for anybody that's had COVID and lost their sense of smell will know this really well. Or if you've had a cold or an allergy or something and you've kind of lost that sense of smell, a lot of foods suddenly taste really bland. So there are two reasons. Obviously, on your plate, you're smelling the food, but as soon as it goes in your mouth, it's right next to your nose. It goes up the back of your nose, and that's where you're getting a lot of the flavor. It's actually from the smell of the food because of the proximity of the food to your mouth. So a sense of smell plays a really strong part in how foods actually taste. Another thing that people probably don't take into consideration is how the food feels on your tongue or between your teeth. A lot of people comment about the fact that they love crisps or chips or crunchy things. And there isn't a flavor to that, but there is a tactile sense. And that also plays into a part of how something tastes. If you're expecting something to be crunchy, like some chips or potato crisps, and you bite into it and it's soft, it doesn't taste as good. Chances are the taste is exactly the same, whether it's crispy or soft. But your brain is going, this isn't good. There's something wrong with it. It's bad. It's off. It's not good for you. So you don't like it as much. And whilst we're talking about the crisps and potato chips and crunches, the sound it makes when you chew on something is another part of how you taste food. Because again, the proximity of what you're chewing to your ears and it's resonating through your jaw and into your ear canal, you're actually feeling and hearing the food as you eat it. And again, that's going to play a part. If it's not what you're expecting, it can be quite unpleasant and you think that you don't like it. And then people think it's because they don't like the taste, whereas actually it's probably not the taste, it's the texture. And then finally, sight. How food looks plays a huge part as to how it tastes. I've got a few photos. I was doing a video, or I'm going to be doing a video on one of the spices or herbs that I use, and I've got a picture of it later. But it's basically tamarind, and I buy tamarind in a solid block. I don't buy it pre-made, so I buy it in a solid block. You pour water over it and let it soak in and sort of dissolve a little bit, and then you squish it. When you squish it, it looks like something somebody has done in the back of an alley. It's disgusting. It looks horrific. Tastes great, and it's a fantastic flavor enhancer. But if I was to show you that and say, there you go, have some of that, you would immediately go, oh God, no. Because of the way it looks, you just don't want to try it. So before we even go on to the sort of further parts of tastes and flavorings, think about all the other senses. Think about everything else that you can enhance when it comes to improving your food. Not just the flavor, but the way that it looks, the way that it smells, the way that it feels, the texture of it, the crunch, the sound it makes when you eat it. The more of these things that you can enhance and improve, even just a little bit, it's going to increase your enjoyment of those foods. And if you don't like certain types of healthy food, think about what is it about that that you don't like? Because chances are it probably isn't just the taste, it's probably something else. And to be honest, with only seven senses on your taste buds, it really probably isn't the taste. So think about the sight, how it looks, the smell, the texture, the sound. And finally, the memory. If you've eaten something that somebody made for you and it was horrific, you're probably not going to want to have that again because it was so bad. You've got such a bad memory of it. Um, Same sort of thing for how something tastes. You have to keep trying things until you find the version of it that you like. When I was a kid, I didn't like Brussels sprouts. I mean, who does when they're a kid? A lot of that is because of the way that it was cooked, and it was overcooked. It was soggy. It smelt of sulfur. It was horrific, and the memory of that stuck with me for a very long time until somebody introduced me to roasted Brussels sprouts, and it changed my life. Well, not quite. It changed my thoughts on Brussels sprouts. So the memory of that food was what was putting me off, not the actual food itself. So think about how you can improve these things as long with the taste, and try and include as many of those parts of those flavors as you can. A little bit of salt, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of sweetness. It doesn't need to be sugar. It can be something else that provides a sweetness, like vanilla essence or cinnamon, something like that. A little bit of sweet, a little bit of sour, a little bit of bitter. You're just going to really enhance the flavor of whatever it is that you're having. So think about what you can do to engage all your senses, all the parts of your taste buds. And to do that, quite often, what I'll do is I'll use a couple of these. So I emptied out my spice and herb cupboards because one cupboard isn't enough for but all the stuff that I've got in here. And this is almost all of my herbs and spices. So the two that I use the most are at the back in the big jars, not the two biggest ones, but the two on the left here is cumin, and actually this one over here, paprika. So I use that with almost every single vegetable that I cook. I probably use it a little bit too much, but I just feel like it just makes everything taste better when you're cooking it. So not my go-to when I'm cooking veg is going to be the cumin, the smoked paprika, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, and maybe some garlic, something like that. Um, Good to know, Claude. I'm glad that somebody else is the same as me. And then basically, I'll mix and match. The way that I learned how to use herbs and spices is obviously following a recipe first of all. That's the most obvious way to learn what works well with what. But another way of doing it is go and find a packet of your favorite fajita mix or a jar of your favorite pasta sauce. Have a look on the back and have a look at the ingredients. Now, there's going to be loads of crap in it, but look at the top 4 or 5 ingredients, and chances are it's going to be one of these. It's going to have salt because salt makes everything taste better. And if you have high blood pressure, I'm afraid you can't have salt. Leave it out. Reason being, you're probably having too much salt. That's why you've got high blood pressure. And you need to retrain your taste buds to go without salt first. And after about 2 weeks, you can go back to having salt again, but you'll have so much less. Excuse me. Have a look at the back of the packet, read the ingredients. They will be in order of what they've used the most of first, and then in descending order. So if it says the first ingredient is paprika, you know to put shitloads of paprika in what you're going to make. The next one's cumin, put some cumin in, but not as much as paprika. So that's how you learn what you need to make your own favorite sort of sauces, fajita mixes, things like that. So what I basically do is I use the recipe first of all, and then I will need to tweak it because the herbs that I use may not have the same strength or come from the same region that the person who made the recipe uses. so you have to tweak them. The good thing about herbs and spices, herbs in particular, is it's actually really, really difficult to over herb something. Until you've got like a mouthful of herbs and they're all stuck between your teeth and everything, and then it's horribly messy. But anyway, adding too many herbs is actually quite difficult to do. You just tend to increase the intensity of the flavor. Now I've shown you here all the dried herbs that I have. I don't use fresh herbs that often. Maybe I should be using them more often, but I tend to buy them when I'm creating a specific meal. The one thing I would encourage you to buy specifically fresh is basil. Basil doesn't really work very well dried. It works better as a fresh herb. There's a couple of other ones as well. So what I've done is I would go through the ingredients, have a look at it, make the meal, but as I'm making it, I would smell each herb before I put it into the dish. That way, I'm training my brain to think, oh, this is actually what this herb smells like. And so that's the flavor I'm going to be adding. And you don't necessarily want it to just taste of basil or just taste of oregano, but you want to learn what hint that's going to give to your flavor, your foods. And what some of these will actually give you a real surprise. Like oregano, to me, actually has a very sort of orangey, citrusy smell. And it's quite surprising when you do smell these things that you think, oh, I didn't realize that it smelled like that. You just take it and you pour it in, and that's all you do with it. So have a sniff and teach yourself what flavors you like and what smells good to you. So to make it really, really easy, some of you may have already got the spice blend PDF that I put together. Today, I've also now done a herb version of that as well. So it's a 3-page PDF, quite simple. It basically breaks down fresh and dried herbs and then what foods go with those herbs. And I'm just going to load it up a second so that I can just give you a slightly sort of a preview of it. So bear with me one second whilst I just load this up. Where is it? Here we go. So I've already done the spice one. So if you haven't got that yet, let me know and I'll send you the link for it. Just say that you want the PDF for herbs and spices, or just say PDF, please, in the comments box, and I'll send you the link to go and get this. You can just download it from my website, but I'll send you the link to make it nice and easy. So as Claude was saying, basil, mint, parsley are for sure fresh. Yeah, absolutely. Anything that is a delicate leafy herb like basil, like tarragon, like parsley, like chives, they're always going to be better fresh. You can use them dried, but they will give such a big boost. Mainly because of the fragrance that they have, which is lost during the cooking process. So if you take some fresh basil and you tear it and then smell it, the intensity of the flavor, the smell, is dramatically increased. So you actually don't want to cook it very, very long. You just want to put it in towards the end. So those are the kind of things that I would suggest you do. So for example, I mean, I've got a few examples here. Beef, think about using thyme, celery, marjoram, coriander, sage, rosemary, oregano, garlic. They work really well. For chicken, use garlic, marjoram, tarragon, oregano, coriander. Fish, mustard, oregano, tarragon. Tarragon works really well for fish. I hate it. I hate tarragon. Tarragon's got a very sort of licorice and aniseedy type flavor to it. I just think it's too overpowering for me, but maybe you like it. You know, we're all different. Pork, marjoram, mustard works really well. oregano, sage, rosemary, garlic, and thyme. So if you want a copy of the PDF, Claude, no problem. I will send that through to you. Stephen, yeah, no problem. Just post in the comments PDF, please, and I will send you the link to download it. And if you have any questions or issues with how much to use or which ones work well, there's a quite a good section in the PDF that says how you can combine them, and also how you can replace a herb if you don't have it. There's an alternative one that you can use that's kind of similar, or something that will give you the same sort of hint, same sort of flavor. So think about what you can add into your foods, what flavors you can enhance, and what goes well with what, because that's really what it's all about, is experimenting and finding what works for you. So for your next step, ask for the PDF. If you still need a bit more help than just herbs and spices, you are struggling and you need a bit more of a one-to-one help from me, then please just say that you want to join me on a 15-minute call. Just say 15 minutes, please, in the comments box, and I will get in touch with you and we'll arrange a 15-minute call. It's not a sales pitch, I promise. It really is just a way for me to provide you with a little help, a little step in the right direction so that you can start moving on your journey. And if anybody's been on this 15-minute call, you will know I don't pitch you on this. This is just for me to try and help you. So Q&As. If you have any questions right now, it might take a few seconds to go through. So I will wait for a minute for this to go through. But if you have any questions, just post them in the comments box. If I've already finished the presentation, still post the questions in the comments box, because I will go back to them and I will check to see if anybody's got any questions or they need any help. I will reply to them. Please do post in the comments box. That'd be amazing. So I hope you find this useful, because I think that herbs and spices, there are people that seem to know an awful lot about it, and then people that just don't have a clue. The best way for you to learn about them, as I said, is to look at the back of packets. If you're not sure about what vegetables to use for which herbs, think about soups. So if you look at the soup counter or the cans of soup, one of the ones that sort of stand out for me would be carrot and coriander. So you immediately know that carrots and coriander spice go really, really well together. Peas and mint go really, really well together. Italian herbs, mixed herbs, oregano, basil, marjoram, they all kind of work quite well with green vegetables, stuff like that. So hopefully that's given you an idea. Oh, Claus just said, I hate this time lag. Claus just said, how can you make veg more interesting with herbs? So yeah, have a look at the soups aisle and look at the vegetarian or the vegetable soups and see what herbs they've put in it. And that will teach you. So for me, I would always use the paprika and cumin. Maybe a bit of garlic. So that's what I would usually start with. But for things like carrots, I'd use coriander. For things like mint, peas, I would use mint. Sometimes for like sweet corn, stuff like that, good old-fashioned salt and pepper just works really, really well. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please do continue to post any questions or comments you have. And I will see you soon. All right. Take care, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.